I love squash season. Squash is packed full of nutrients, crazy affordable, and easy to throw in the oven. And you can stuff them with mounds of protein and fiber. Okay, I may have gone a bit overboard here, but now you know, anything goes with stuffed squash. Step number 1, fresh. These are buttercan squash, a melt-in-your-mouth hybrid of butternut squash and pumpkin. Adorable, right? Inside, the flesh is the best of both worlds, deep orange, smooth, and deliciously sweet. For the stuffing mix, you can choose from all sorts of ground meats. Here I have ground lamb, 100% grass-fed and grass-finished, so no unwanted feedlot ingredients to throw off our gut health. For our aromatics, a bright red onion. And from the leafy greens family, purple curly kale, decorative, delicious, and nutritious. And as an optional topping at the end, sprouted organic pumpkin seeds, a healthy fat, and a great plant protein source. Oh, and a sweet surprise, a few dried apricots, which I love in my stuffings. Okay, and so we go into our peaceful prep. We start by salting our ground lamb, a key step in creating a flavorful, juicy stuffing mix. Lamb has a robust and slightly gamey flavor that adds depth and complexity to the dish. It's also a rich source of protein, essential for building and repairing muscle tissue. It's also a good source of iron and zinc, which are important for maintaining good health. So, season both sides. Massage in with your hands, as the salt will help tenderize the meat. And then break into small bite-sized pieces so they're ready for a quick saute later. Smaller pieces help the meat crisp, as the space between them allows steam to rise and creates browning. Set your lamb aside, and we continue to prep our plants. Next, we roast our adorable buttercans. This is so easy and kind of fun. Cut in half by placing your sharp knife securely on the top of the squash. And then I use what I call my melon mallet to pound on the blade, letting the knife do the work. And your hands are free from the knife slipping and risking a cut. Scoop out the inner seeds and strings. I use my large measuring spoon. You can cut your squash into halves or quarters or both, like I'm doing here. Whatever works for you. Like I said, kind of fun. Place the squash on your handy and dependable sheet pan. Drizzle with heart-healthy fat, extra virgin olive oil, and a generous sprinkle of kosher salt. It's helpful to massage the oil and the salt into the meat of the squash for enhanced flavor and texture while roasting. Turn the squash face side down for beautiful caramelization while cooking. And place in the oven for 30 minutes or so at our usual 400 degrees Fahrenheit. While the squash roasts, we continue with our prep. Here is a simple strip of the leaves from the stems of our purple curly kale. Turns out the purple isn't just stunning in color, but it contains anthocyanins, the same nutrient in blueberries, which have powerful antioxidant properties. Purple kale is an excellent source of vitamins A and C, iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, and dietary fiber. And they add a beautiful accent to your dish. Gather into a pile and rough cut for easy saute. As you know by now, I try to include greens in just about all my dishes because they're packed with so many nutrients and important fiber. This may seem like a lot of greens, but remember, they shrink down a great deal in cooking, so the more, the merrier. For our aromatics, a red onion. Cut off the ends, slice in half, peel the outside layer, and then slice into ribbons. A rough chop is all that's needed. With vibrant color, red onions have a distinctive flavor that's both sweet and slightly spicy. Here I decided to prep our orange for making the sauce later. Give it a good roll back and forth to loosen and break down the citrus membrane walls. Then a simple cut in half. Slice off the ends, then cut halfway into the orange along the grain of the slices, and unfold. So fun. Then you can easily peel the orange pieces from the rind, and they're ready to dice. These pieces will come in handy later if you want to add more garnish. And our other garnish? Pumpkin seeds. I buy these already sprouted so they're easier to digest. And dried apricots, a sweet surprise for your stuffing. An excellent source of beta-carotene, vitamins A and C. Now, our last step in prep is the final touches on our squash. Right out of the oven, you can see the caramelization. This is food gold. After they've cooled a minute, it's time to scoop the meat out of the shell. Honestly, this is a time to savor your good works. You know how unbelievably nutritious these are for your body, how satisfying so you have less food cravings, and how easy they are to cut, seed, and throw into the oven for a mouth-watering roast. We set the meat aside for mixing our stuffing after the sauté, and save the shells for presentation later. Step number 3, sauce. And for this butterkin stuffed squash with ground lamb, what better pairing than our British marmalade sauce? Fruity, tangy flavors, burst in your mouth oranges, and a real match made in heaven with winter squash. Step number 4, heat. You will have wanted to bring your protein to room temperature about 20 minutes earlier during prep to help with the browning. Fire your burner, swirl a bit of healthy cooking fat to help browning and keep the food from sticking to the pan, and then add your salted ground lamb. Sautéing the meat first allows any flavor bits left in the pan after the sauté, which are called fond, to flavor the remaining batches for added depth in the dish. Spread the lamb out for a bit of even cooking and with space so steam can rise, which allows for the browning. Press to sear to further help browning and lock in flavor. Again, one of the keys to successful browning is to bring the meat to room temperature before cooking. Just look at these caramelized brown bits. They're full of sweet, textured flavor. Once the lamb is cooked through, turn off the burner and plate. The meat will continue to cook from the residual heat and create delicious juices. Lamb can render a fair amount of fat, and as healthy as it is, I like to strain some out to save for another day. I simply put it in one of my recycled ghee jars to store in the refrigerator. With the burner back on, batch number 2, add your aromatics to some of the flavorful lamb fat and fond at the bottom of the pan. Delicious and full of nutrients. Stir, salt for sparkle, and press to sear. Once the onions have softened and caramelized, we add in our purple curly kale, the more tender of our vegetables. They will need just a minute or so to warm and soften. Then add back in your lamb and lamb juices to fully combine flavors. Now we add our sauce, a liberal pour of our British marmalade sauce to coat the plants in protein. Next, we make our stuffing. Add in your squash meat and stir to combine. Use however much or little you like. There's no one way to do this. I'll show you how to use any leftover squash meat for soup in another class. Okay, and now it's time for our squash shells to plate and serve however you wish. And then stuff. So easy. Squash is a perfect vessel for stuffing with any variety of ingredients, including our plants and proteins. You can easily customize for whatever you're in the mood for. And while versatile, remember, stuffed squash is also packed with health benefits. They're high in fiber, making it a great choice for weight management and digestive health. And here's a few extra garnishes if you want to get creative. You can throw in some orange pieces, apricots, and some pumpkin seeds. Of course, I can sometimes get carried away too, so do what works for you. That's all that matters. Success. One of the many ways you can experiment towards stuffing your winter squash. Here's to the creative process and throwing together whatever inspires you. Enjoy.